I think we're going to start to see a little bit more of a replacement of, some live staff with, things that can be automated and don't call in sick and, don't complain about the workload and all those sort of things.
Welcome to Top Rated Gym, the ultimate podcast for gym owners ready to take their business to the next level. Each episode is packed with actionable advice to help you increase revenue, boost retention, and scale your business to new heights. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand your locations, Top Rated Gym is your trusted resource for growth and success. Let's build stronger, thriving gyms, one episode at a time.
Today, we have a privilege of speaking with Shaun Grove, a seasoned expert with nearly 2 decades of experience in franchising, fitness, and business development. Guys, Shaun's journey began as a franchise attorney, evolving through various leadership roles, including president of Wearable, and most recently, he acquired Stride Fitness in 2024. Reimagining it with a unique fusion of cardio, strength training, and recovery. He's not just a leader in fitness, but a pioneer in combining recovery and fitness into a game-changing model that's poised for a massive growth. Shaun, it's our privilege to have you on the show. Welcome to podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my privilege to be here.
So Shaun, last time we talked, I love this hybrid approach. I love especially preparing and packaging in a business in a box for a fitness and franchising. But I want to go directly dive into it, right? You're combining these high energy workouts with recovery. Why? Why not open 2 different brands?
Yeah, no, totally. And as we talked about before, it's a slippery slope when you start to incorporate recovery into the fitness concept. But for me, when I looked to start building Stride Fitness, I wanted to invest in where fitness is going and not where fitness has already been, right? So I looked at concepts like Orange Theory, F45, berries, things that are kind of comparable on that high intensity spectrum. And I saw that there's really a hole in that market. And I think what we've built at Stride Fitness fills that hole perfectly. It's really what I call sort of this intersection between performance and longevity. And I think we definitely see that's where the consumer is taking things and where the consumer wants to go, and really trying to create this holistic boutique studio that gives the consumer the cardio, the strength, the fitness side of the business, but also gives them a good, solid, intentional recovery piece of it as well, which, for obvious business reasons, it makes the business more sticky. It keeps them around a little bit longer. You help to prevent some of the injury-related churn and things that you see just naturally in the business. So that's sort of the why behind it. It's something that I'm very excited about and very passionate about in how we're doing it. And, in a perfect world, they kind of would be bifurcated businesses. You see a lot of wellness and longevity type of centers popping up now because recovery has become so prevalent in the market. But for me, it's infusing them together and really having sort of a holistic approach in a boutique fitness center that we really just haven't seen up to this point.
And Shaun, let me tell you, you're answering my question when I was asking my trainers in F45. I went there every day for first 3 months, and I start seeing degradation of my performance. I was like, what's going on, guys? I'm lifting less and I'm exhausting. Like, what do I do to increase recovery? Right?
Yeah.
Because in a business, we as a business owners, entrepreneurs, always look to solve one problem. But somehow, world is designed that way that when we solve one problem, we simultaneously create follow-up problem. Right? You help them with their strength, but you create a problem of recovery. And now many ignoring is like, oh, that's not my problem. I don't have to deal with it. But you recognize this as a second layer of adding values. Like, okay, I'm going to solve both. I'm going to help you live longer, healthier, more energized, but I'm going to also remove the consequences of these workouts by adding you value of recovering so you don't have to cancel. So when you're choosing between 2 different gyms, you can sign up for mine because I have added value than somebody else who doesn't have that. Yeah. So you're like double dipping there.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, that's the idea. And for me, that's when I say investing in where fitness is going, that is definitely where it's going. This recovery aspect If you look at the trends of what consumers want every year, it's becoming more and more prevalent. And so it's something that I think we're going to start to see on a much larger scale. And you see some of it now in big box where, they're trying to incorporate some of that recovery piece of what they're doing. We haven't seen it so much to scale in boutique fitness yet because we try and keep our footprints relatively small. And so that's where I say it's sort of a slippery slope. You could easily start with, saunas and red lights and hyperbarics. And before you know it, you've got a full blown recovery aspect of what you're doing. And so for us, we took really the core concepts of recovery that I've always loved as an athlete and what, I think is the most critical and can be scaled in a smaller footprint, which is, the anti-gravity chairs with, self-guided stretching and myofascial release, and the massage through the compression therapy. We partnered with Hyperice, and we have the full Normatec boots and the hips and the arms and the self-guided massage guns. And we've got some red light therapy in there as well. But again, it's trying to incorporate all that into a small footprint, but still make it very conducive for our members to be able to utilize it. We set it up just like we do our class schedule. So our members have to book in, and they can book sessions every 30 minutes throughout the day. And so it makes it very, very easy for our members to be able to really engage in that recovery piece of what they're getting overall from the studio.
So you organize it as a calendar, booking, scheduling system. Absolutely. So there's no first come, first serve, and then overbooking. And like I have a workout, but prior to the workout, I'll come do a massage chair. I'll save my spot so people don't get disappointed of availability or so on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Shaun, let me tell you, this is not something that people didn't think about before. But you made a call, you made a decision, right? Like you says, footprint is small. Rent that you're paying has to be like return on rent, return on square foot paying. Like you can either put it towards the workout equipment or towards recovery. How do you find balance? How much of your space is towards recovery versus workouts versus admin? And what making just that decision is a bold move. In the big box gym, when they have thousands of square feet, it's easier.
Sure.
Here's such a fine balance. So what got you into making that call and moving on? How did you justify that decision?
Yeah. I think you have to be very cognizant of the square footage that you have, and how are you going to utilize that. For me, and this goes back to my Club Pilates days, and all through my fitness journey over several decades, is really maximizing every square foot that you have in the facility and what's your ROI on that square foot. So, just to kind of take it back further, I've had conversations with franchise partners and others in the industry that want to have a shower, or they want to have, a multiple locker rooms. And okay, what is your ROI on that footprint? Are people paying to use the shower? Are they paying, for those other amenities, or is that just going to be kind of included into what you're doing?
That's right.
So for me, it's the same concept with recovery. I feel like it's a critical aspect of the fitness journey for consumers. And so, how do you monetize that? And how do you really put a square footage proportion to that in the overall footprint? And so, for us, we looked at building the fitness space first, because that is the most critical. That's what we're doing. Once we have that built, now what square footage do we have left over for lobby area, for restrooms? And then what does that look like for recovery? And so our basic footprint is anywhere from 2,000 to 2,800 square feet. So obviously, if you have a 2,000 square foot box, your recovery area is probably going to be a little bit smaller. But we want to see a minimum of 160 square feet for dedicated to that recovery piece. In the new studio that we're opening in Huntington Beach in 2 weeks, our recovery area there is probably a little bit closer to 300 square feet, because we have a little bit bigger box to work with. And so there's no, dedicated rule on you need to have 20% of your space dedicated to that modality and what we're doing. But we definitely want to make sure it's large enough to accommodate 4 of our recovery chairs and all the other equipment that we need in there. And so that's kind of how we went about configuring the space and deciding how much of it was going to be attributed to the recovery piece.
So you have plenty of experience from Rumble and Club Pilates, and you see the industry and developing goods and bads in each one of them. Now, obviously, I love your concept. I love the idea. Let me ask you a question. When you were designing pricing for this, is this recovery as an upsell? Is it higher level package? Or is it used as a sales conversion tactic?
Yeah. So we went through all those iterations and really, like you said, through years of experience and understanding, is it better to upsell? Is it better to have add-ons? What does that look like? For me, I made the decision to make it a value add to the membership. And so, a lot of times in fitness centers, we have these levels of membership now. We have sort of your starter package. We have, your come a couple times a week. And then we have what people call unlimited or all access or whatever that looks like. But generally speaking, people don't use their memberships unlimitedly. They don't come 30 times a week, right? So What are they really getting for that? And that's your highest tiered membership. And so the idea is to try and build as much value as you can into that ultimate membership to try and guide people into seeing the value of spending an additional $30 a month or whatever that is. And so the way that we constructed this is if you are one of our elite members, which is our ultimate or, anytime come in and work out, you get to use that recovery room on that same basis. So you can come in and work out as many times as you want during the week, and you can schedule as many of the recovery sessions as you want, building as much value as we can into that highest tiered membership. In our middle membership, you can come in and do workout classes 8 times a week, and then you can get 4 recovery sessions every week. For our lowest tiered membership, you have no access to the recovery room. So it really drives an incentive and builds more value into the mid-range and the higher tiered membership component of it.
Yeah, because there's so many competition around. So much. Everybody is offering the same thing with very slight difference. And in the boutique business, this is very unique. Very big differentiator because you are adding this additional value. And Tony Robbins' advice is you got to think, if you're creating a business, you got to think about adding value more than anybody around. Because retention it's a fight that's never stops.
No, and it's the most critical component, honestly. I mean, that's what,
Correct.
We teach staff all day long is it's much better to retain a member and easier to retain a member than it is to go out and find a new one.
Yeah.
So it's critical.
So let's talk a little bit about franchise model and success in franchise. You've seen a lot, right? In your experience, what makes a great franchisee? How do you get somebody to really be successful in your system or in general?
It's a great question. And I think, I've done several presentations on, who makes the best franchisee and why. And a lot of it comes down to just general characteristics that a lot of us have. In terms of who do we want? We want someone who has, experience in business, who kind of just understands at least the basics of business. But I'd say the biggest determining factor is someone who doesn't come in with any preconceived notions of how things should be done. I look at it like they're a blank canvas, right? And I compare franchising to painting by numbers. And so can I give you this chart that says every time you see a 1, paint it blue. Every time you see a 2, paint it orange.
Can you follow instructions?
Can you follow that and do it? Or are you going to have your own designs or, this area should be purple when purple's nowhere on my chart? Can you follow the model? Can you follow the system? And can you be successful in doing that? But taking it a step further, can you manage people? Can you manage processes? That's a lot of the times the franchisees that aren't as successful really can't get out of their own way. Some of them are maybe a little too entrepreneurial and want to do things their own way, and that's really not a great candidate to be into a franchise system. But we can take, and I've had successful franchisees from every walk of life, from what we call corporate refugees who have worked for a Fortune 500 company for 20 years and now want to go out and do something on their own, or a fitness enthusiast who really just has a passion for the concept, or a stay-at-home mom who just wants to get out and do something. So it doesn't necessarily matter your background, your walk of life. It's your mindset and your ability to really follow a model and want to be part of a successful system.
Yeah, and I spoke with people who have 200, 700, 800 franchises. Recently, I spoke with the founders of a really brilliant brand. I don't know if you know, he's Steven Smith. I recommend everybody checking that podcast. Grew the brand to 700 locations in 5 years and still exploding.
That's impressive.
And I asked him a question like, how do you make sure that everybody follows instructions when you give them instructions?
Mm-hmm.
He says one thing, like, I remind them on a contract. It's all written down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have to do that.
Yeah.
But yes, buying a franchise is buying business in a box, is buying instructions, buying proven model, buying process that works. You are buying a product, you're buying a process, and you got to supply people. 3 things are needed, right?
Sure.
And you got to bring people and you got to retain people. What I see is happening, and I don't know, Shaun, if you see this in the industry, employees are one of the hardest points in running a business. I spoke with I'm not going to call his name, but one of the biggest franchisees in Orange Theory, 9+ location, one of the leaders in a chain before, benchmark setter. He came to me, he was like, I want to quit. I want to sell it all. I want to out. One reason, because of employees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't manage. And that was after the COVID. He had a breakdown. Like, I can't manage employees. So what advice can we do in today's world of today's generation, how to really find, hire, and train and retain people before the AI comes in?
That's the most challenging aspect of, I would say a fitness business, but any business, right? Whether you're making sandwiches or you're selling fitness or whatever the case may be, finding, hiring, and retaining good quality employees is always a challenge, especially like you said in this market where the paradigm seems to have shifted a little bit. I know when I was younger and working, it was, you did what you were told and you did the best you could, or you were replaced. And there's this sort of mentality today that people are sort of just expected to be able to have an easy path and a job and off they go. And it's difficult. And I think one of the things that we're seeing really start to take hold, for better or worse, is the invention of AI and some of those things coming in that are replacing some of these individuals. I know we're working on that now at Stride to alleviate some of those issues and those elements on some of the lower level employees that we need to have in there to operate the business. And we're seeing it work very successfully right now. And
nice.
So as
dare to share a little bit about what job costs?
Absolutely. But as that grows, I think we're going to start to see a little bit more of a replacement of some live staff with things that can be automated and don't call in sick and don't complain about the workload and all those sort of things that we're seeing. But the human part of it's never going to go away, especially in our industry.
Of course, training,
creating that experience and that community, there's no way to replace that with anyone. And so I think, for me, it's always just been, working with the staff, making sure they have everything they need in order to be successful, and listening to concerns and helping to accommodate some of those things, which that's the same in any business, but it's just managing people and understanding that piece of it. On the AI side,
yeah, please, let's dig into it.
I've been working with an individual that we brought on to really look at all angles. What can we do to automate this part of the business and that part of the business, and really streamline it? And he's just, from my perspective, sits in a cave all day long coding and figuring out, like a mad scientist, how do we replicate lead gen? How do we replicate the sales process? How do we replicate the check-in process, and just different tasks and elements that right now we have human individuals undertaking. And, we're starting to see some throughput on it that is very encouraging. It's not earth-shattering or brand new. There's been AI companies around for a long time that are incorporating a lot of these things, but I think we're doing it internally in a way that's very exciting. And he guarantees me that within the next 6 months, we'll be able to cut our labor by 30%. And if that's true, then that's an absolute game changer. And will, just even further differentiate us from a lot of the other boutique fitness concepts out there.
And I love this topic. Honestly, I'm one of these people who are infected by AI. We are so passionate. We are so hyped about it. And I believe that we are really past the stage of prompting using ChatGPT, Groks, and other things. Mm-hmm. It's all coming about agentic workforce, fully independent, autonomous, without supervision, intelligence that does the outcome, not just a job. And you mentioned some of these elements, because what I'm seeing is, Shaun, we all have jobs we love to do, and we have jobs we have to do, and we have jobs we don't like to do, but has to be done, right? I call those green and orange and red ones. Mm-hmm. Nobody likes to chase the lead 10 times and being faced by rejections and trying to pursue them. And it's like, I like inbound leads. Call me and I'll sell you on it. Mm-hmm. If you're a salesperson. But AI doesn't care, has no emotion, has no frustration. You can't tick him off. Mm-hmm. And he's going to do as many times than you tell them to do on programming to do it, to follow up with emotions that's funny and intelligent and persuasive and knows the outcome. And those jobs are first one to go out. Mm-hmm. And as you are working, many other companies are working, we're working as well within a Referizer to make sure that when the AI receives the call, makes the call, initiate outcome, booking or anything, it's disproportionately more knowledgeable than a human, because it can keep knowledge about everything about the business, every service, every product, every offering, can know everything about that customer relationships down to the first day, even before how they get to it, right?
Yeah.
And can know their goals and affinities from the conversation, plus can have NLP understanding, neuro-linguistic programming and persuasive techniques, understanding their emotions and how they feel, plus knows the trending data, knows competitor data, can spy on competitors, can do mystery shopping, can understand everything and just pursue it like freaking master.
It's amazing. I mean, honestly, it's beyond comprehension for me, because I don't live in that AI world, but the more that I've been exposed to it and seen it, it's astonishing. And the fact that it continues to learn with every new conversation and every new text message, and just gets better and better and better.
And I'm not saying mispresenting customers. Because you can put a background noise behind AI and it sounds like you're in the studio, right? Mm-hmm. You can do a lot of cool things. There's now NVIDIA AI that you cannot interrupt. AI has falling, like you start talking, they stop in the middle of sentence, they get confused a little bit. Mm-hmm. Now, NVIDIA voice AI can do totally like a human's, thinking while talking and without interruption responding. Mm-hmm. It's a game changer.
Yeah, totally. I've been fooled many times on some of these calls where I think I'm talking to a live person, and then 10 minutes into the call, I'm like, okay, this is AI.
this is AI, and somehow you are even embarrassed to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I gotta ask this. Am I talking to AI?
Yeah.
It's so good. True. And this is also another change, because in one of the challenges with AI, and we'll go back to the branding, is where people quit on implementing it. Is I spoke with so many executives in a world of fitness who tried 3 or 4 apps, and their feedback is, no, it's technology is not there yet. And I was like, why? Why, Shaun? Why would you say? He says he doesn't know about my business. That's not a technology. That's your documentation about your business and instructions you are able to give to AI employees to understand you. You don't spend 3 months onboarding an AI employee like you spend your internal employee. You expect miracle. Mm-hmm. And then companies that solves that problem of understanding, being real-time live update with your business, as the company who's going to have AI force that really does the job better than anybody else.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think you have to lean all the way into it. You can't dabble. You can't just chat GPT your way through, incorporating AI into your business. If it's something that you're interested in incorporating, you need to lean all the way in, like you're saying, and hire the professionals that know what they're doing and really infuse it into your business so it knows you, it knows your voice, it knows your culture, it knows everything about your business and can speak as you want it to speak to your consumer.
And I'm going to drop some idea to you now that I just came up with. I'm big about wearables, right? I have a Whoop on my hand and I have Apple Watch on another. Like, it's 24/7 monitoring.
Yeah.
And Whoop has some really great measurement of heart rate variability and energy levels, recovery time, workout intensity, all night, down to blood pressure and so on. And there will be a brand, maybe your brand, that will come up with a MCP or API integration into Wearable and start recommending to the users recovery session or modification exercise based on how well they sleep, on how much they recovered, and how body is ready.
Yep.
Because my Whoop says, go full on. You're at 90%, punch it.
No, right? It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's something that we're incorporating into what we're doing now. We have performance tracking data in each one of our classes. And so we track everything you just said, the heart rates, the calories burned, the overall tangibles of the KPI of what you're doing in the class. And now we're infusing that into AI telling us, based on what we just saw, you've improved this much from your last class, from the last month. You should be taking 2 more classes to get to your level of fitness, whatever it is you're looking for, and incorporate, recovery 3 days a week or 2 days, whatever it looks like. Basically, it gives our member the opportunity to create their goals. What do you want to achieve? Mm-hmm. And then through the technology that we've embedded into our tracking data performance software, it gives them like a real-time personal trainer on how to achieve those levels of it. And it's continuing to grow, and it'll improve with that too. Right now, it hasn't synced to the point where it's looking at sleep data and hydration and different things that you can get out of a lot of these wearables, but that's the future of where it's going.
I believe so.
Completely.
And then it can be really comparison. People who use recovery room consistently with a workout make X amount of progress, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm surveyed all the time. But that comes to really psychology. See, Shaun, what I love about you have one virtue, and virtue that many people resist, and that's ability to change, ability to adopt, ability to be like a chameleon in a new world of innovation. You started with a new brand, with rebranding, with moving from one industry, one branding to another, creating something new. I want to tap into like what is behind it.
Yeah.
How come you're not like everybody else resisting to change, and what's behind your psychology that you're so forward looking? Was that something that you were always like that, or you're sick and tired of problems and you figured out new way? What's behind it?
I'd say it's a combination. I think I've definitely always been sort of a forward looker and someone who wants to try new things and understands the evolution of just nature overall. As you alluded to in the beginning, I started out as a franchise attorney, and
Yes.
then went into the FBI for a short stint. I was in-house counsel for a franchise company. I became a franchisee. Ultimately, started Club Pilates and ran that company to 1,000+ locations, and then moved on to another brand. It would have been very easy to still just sit in my seat at Club Pilates and enjoy the fruits of the labor. But for me, the excitement is in starting something new, in growing something new, and in advancing kind of what we're seeing and how we're doing it. The technology piece has changed tremendously from 2 decades ago when I was at a company called LA Boxing into UFC Gym, into Club Pilates and so on. So that piece of it fascinates me, and just it's sort of, for me, it's a desire to continue to grow personally and also challenge myself on how do we improve it? How do we take the next step? How do we do something new, something exciting? I feel like it's easy to get sort of stagnant in what you're doing, and you're mundane, just kind of, rote processes. But for me, I guess I've just always had this desire to step out of that comfort zone and expand and grow and evolve and, create something new and exciting. And that's kind of been what I've done every step of the way in my professional career.
So I'm curious. I get asked this question. 10 years from now, totally, it's 2036. What do you envision? Where is Stride Fitness?
I don't know that we'll be at 1,000 units, but I definitely know it's going to be a distributor or a disruptor in the industry. It's going to, I think, set a pace for this new sort of hybrid fitness, wellness, kind of performance longevity concept. And we'll see where it goes from there. And if I'm still involved with it in 10 years, as we just alluded to, I'm constantly moving and evolving and going on to the next project. I'm working, simultaneously as, the CEO of Stride and building this concept, helping other startup franchisors, kind of consulting with them to help grow their businesses and their concepts. Some that I think are very unique and have a lot of legs and could be the next whatever in the industry. And so I'm excited about those things as well. And I think if I had to have a crystal ball and look forward 10 years from now, I'm probably in more of that consulting role and helping build new businesses and helping to create the next evolution of franchising and what that system looks like overall.
And obviously you have a great number of skills, from leading big franchise to scaling them, to starting from scratch new ones, to rebranding, from technology and AI and innovation and leadership. Definitely we can have probably 5 episodes here recorded. But I want to ask you, who made an impact, or share a resource with us, with people listening to this podcast? How do you learn things? Where do you go to learn? What resources, what books, what seminars, what is your source of learning?
Yeah. It's a great question. I can tell you, after law school, I pretty much didn't want to read another book for a long time. And podcasts weren't really around yet. And so I went to different seminars and conferences. I think the IFA for me in franchising, it's one of the best resources out there. And I've learned a lot from individuals I've met through the IFA and just conferences and symposiums that I've gone to. But in terms of books, I recently read The Wealthy Franchisee by Scott Greenberg. I think it's a good read. And I think as really figuring out how to be a strong franchisee and operate within a system, I think that's a really good one. I've always liked Forbes magazine, to be honest. I think they have a lot of really good articles, and I think really poignant articles on not just business but franchising overall. But I'd say, primarily where I learn things today is just a small circle of individuals that I still talk to and bounce ideas off of. Anthony Geisler was a big mentor of mine and is still a really good friend. We started Club Pilates together, and then ultimately Exponential Fitness, and now he's on to Sequel Brands. But we just had lunch 2 days ago, and we bounce ideas off of each other and figure out the next latest and greatest things out on the horizon. So he's one. I'd say, who else? Chuck Runyon. I've never actually met Chuck, but I've read his books and what he's done at Anytime Fitness and Aspire Brands and the things that they're doing on the franchising spectrum, I think are great. For me, I've always been a very, call it sort of franchisee first mentality when it comes to franchising. And I totally believe that if you don't have a successful and satisfied franchisee, you're not going to have a successful franchise system. Yeah. And there are franchisors that are more, I think, directed towards growing their system and not so much the health and wellness of their franchisee.
Boom.
And I don't think you can take that for granted. And so, for me, that's probably the most critical piece of being successful. Yes. And getting beyond that, 10 to 50 to 200 unit open count is really having that great franchisor-franchisee relationship and it really being symbiotic and mutually beneficial. Kind of went on a tangent on you there, but
I love it.
Those are kind of some of the things that I learned.
I have a conversation on both sides. My bunch of clients are franchisee and a lot of corporate relationships. And sometimes I have both of them and I see the fire happening within a brand. So much that's incredible. They're afraid to run a conference because they feel they'll be stoned.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not good energy. You want to create internally healthy environment so it naturally supports itself and grow. And I appreciate the resources you just shared. I love it. I'm a big book listener myself. I probably digest like 30, 40 books a year by driving, listening, doing workout, listening, and walking my dogs and listening, and every they call it net time, not extra time activity. I love it. But Forbes was not on my list. Definitely great resource. And I was about to ask you for two people to recommend to come on the podcast. And you already mentioned Anthony and Chuck as a great resource because I want to interview people like that, like yourself, to come here and share their story. Is there anybody else you would recommend for me to bring as a guest?
There are a number of other people who, I've worked with, but top of mind, there's some people at the Sequel brand that I think are good candidates. I think some of you may have even already interviewed, Ryan Junk being one of them. Sarah Luna, who is the CEO of Pilates Addiction now, who worked for me for many years at Club Pilates, kind of coming up the ranks and has really learned a lot. And obviously they work with Anthony closely. But yeah, there's a handful of people out there that I think would definitely, your listeners could definitely learn from and benefit from in that network for sure.
And what I want to ask, people are looking now at your brand, my listeners all across the nation. There are people who are in a fitness role. There are people who are in executive roles and people who are looking to maybe shift their business model. So for them looking at your company, your role, probably now they're Googling and finding your LinkedIn information. What can we say? What's the best way to get in touch with your brand or with you personally?
Yeah, I'd say, you nailed it with LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. I'm actually pretty good on email. So I'm always open to having, dialogue and direct contact through email. It's SHAUN@stridefitness.com, but really go to our website and check us out. Stridefitness.com. There's a link there to franchising that will give you all of the information on kind of what we're doing and how we're doing it. But those are the primary ways to reach us. Obviously Instagram, and Facebook as well, but social media.
And what I love about, for listeners, you guys have to listen to this. When it's a new, upcoming brand with such great ideas and a revolutionizing approach, it's very hard to change existing brand of 2,000 or 1,000 locations to modify them across the portion and shrink everything from the scratch. But when you're starting in a franchise world, but it's a wide open territory, it's a huge opportunity to grow. And not many opportunities are available out there like this one. And I want to say, if you're considering starting a business, transferring, going into being your own boss, or looking for an incredible team who cares about individual locations, not just the bottom line, collecting revenue and scaling at no consequences, I recommend you take a look. Go to the website. Don't take this for granted, because 5 years from now, you might not find territory available around you. So now to figure it out is now. The time to figure it out is now.
Totally agree. And it's great, for me, being able to look back and have the experience that I've had over the last 2 decades in franchising and know what works and what doesn't and why, and be able to start a brand new concept really and do it the right way, the way that I want to do it with franchise partners who I want to bring in that I know are going to be successful, are going to help grow and launch the brand. We've got several. We just started franchising again in November. We've got several new franchisees we've just brought on. We've got the pipeline of new prospects growing and filling up every day. And it's going to be 2026 is going to be great growth for us. We're really excited to really get this thing off and running and put it out there into markets. So absolutely. Come learn more.
You
about
remind
us.
me of a story of Steve Jobs. Whatever he touches, he turns into gold. He goes from one brand to another and he creates the empire, right? Yeah. So this is a story in the fitness, Shaun. It was such a privilege having you here on the podcast and sharing your wisdom. And we definitely have a lot more to talk and share with the audience. But until next time, appreciate you guys listening. And you know what you need to do. You gotta give gratitude by sharing, liking, and commenting these posts and audio material, whatever you're listening. And for Shaun, to you, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule and coming today on the podcast.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And I'd love to come back anytime.
Awesome.
We have a lot more to talk about.
We do. And until next time, signing off. See you guys later. If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.